Hello everyone, myself Sowmya, Assistant Professor in CSE AIML Department, MLR Institute of Technology. So in this video, we're going to discuss about PHP to database connection and programs. So in the previous video, we have discussed about why to connect from PHP to database. Now in this video, we are going to see how to connect to database and how to perform the different operations like creation, insertion, updation, whatever they may be, all the database operations. We will also see some example applications also. So basically in this video, we're going to focus on how to connect to the server, how to create a database, how to create a table, how to insert the data, how to delete the data, how to update the table, and how to display the content from the table along with the application programs. So first of all, connecting to the server. So to connect to the server, first we need to know the credentials of that MySQL server. So here I need to provide these three credentials before creating any database. So if I give these three credentials, directly it will connect to the not particular database, the default database will be connected. So what are the things you are giving? The server name is localhost by default and the username is root for MySQL and the password is no password. I'll show you where I need to check all these. And now I should create a connection from my PHP program to database. I need to establish a connection from PHP to database. It is PHP program, it is database. I need to create a connection. So how you are creating? The connection object is $con. So how you are connecting that? Using a method mysqli underscore connect, or else you can also create a reference using new mysqli. So this is also okay, or else you can directly use this method mysqli underscore connect. So for this method I need to pass these three parameters: server name, username, password. Whatever I have defined, the same thing I need to pass here. So now I should check whether any error is there here, or the connection is correct like that. So if $con I'm checking, not $con. So if $con is containing some information, then it's fine, the connection is established. Otherwise there is no connection, like some error is there in the connection. So if any error is there, then I'm just calling a method called die. So die method will print the message. It will print this message and it will stop the execution there itself. That means if any error is there, you don't need to go further. Like further execution is not needed here, right? You can stop the execution there itself. That's a use of die method. So in the die method, you're printing a message connection failed, followed by mysqli underscore connect underscore error, right? So you are printing the error message also. What is the error? Inside your connection. So whether you have given the password as not correct, incorrect username, like that. What is the error information? If you want to know that, you should also print this method. So this will give you the error information about the connection. Otherwise, if there is no error, then you can print a message connected successfully, right? So this is the program to connect to the default database. So after connecting, I can create the database, I can create the table, all those operations I can do. But before that, we will see how to execute this program. So I'm just copying this. Right. So to execute this PHP program in the exam server along with Apache, you should also start this MySQL. So to check this MySQL page, just click on this admin. So this is the MySQL server page, right? So here these are the database you have, right? So till now I have not created any database, right? So these are the existing database. So now user accounts. So here this is the local host to which you are accessing. For this localhost, the username is root and you can check the password here. So password is nothing, they have not given any password, that's why you're giving as empty password, right? So now I need to execute this program, right? So I have saved it as connect, right? So connect.php, it is connected successfully. So there is no error, that's why it is connected successfully. So now after connecting, I want to create my own database. For creating database, the same process you need to follow. First, you need to connect to the database. So the same program you're writing here, server name, username, password. By passing all these, you're connecting to the database. See, this is another way you're using new followed by MySQLi. You're passing all these values to create the connection object. You need to check whether any connection error is there or not. If there is no error, then you can go further. But if any error, you can stop the execution there itself by calling this die function. So here you are also printing the error message. If there is no error, then try to create a database. So create database. The database name is mydb2. So now this value I am storing in a variable called $SQL. So I want to execute this query. To execute the query from PHP, you are using a method called query method. So for this query method, you are passing the argument as $SQL. So this query will be executed by this function. But I should use the connection object here to execute this query. So what is the connection object I have? $con. So $con arrow mark query of SQL. So now this function will return a boolean value. If you have a successful execution, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So now if you are checking if it is true, then the database created successfully. Otherwise, error in creating the database. What is the error? You can print that error, connect arrow mark error. So whatever the error is there, that will be printed here. So that's all. After completing your operations, finally you need to close your connection. So now here I am going to create a database. So database created successfully. So what is the database name I have given? I have given the database name as mydb2. So now we will check our SQL page. So if I refresh this, see here now I don't have any mydb2. See here now I am getting mydb2 database. So now if I click on this, see this is empty. There are no tables in my database. So now I will try to create a table in my database. Again the same program, but the difference is, see here these three details we have given previously, but along with these three I am also adding one more parameter here, $db name. So just now in the previous program you have created the database as mydb2. So now from this program onwards directly I am connecting to mydb2. Till the previous program you are simply connecting to the default database, but now I have created my own database mydb2. So directly the program will be connected to mydb2. So here in the function MySQL function, add one more parameter as $db name. So it will support two different signatures, one with 3 parameters and the other with 4 parameters. So now it will directly connect to your database. So I need to check whether connection error is there or not. If there is no error, then create a table. So how you are creating the table? Create table, table name, and it is containing ID, first name, last name and email, 4 different fields. For ID, the data type is integer, first name varchar, last name varchar, email is also varchar. And how to execute this query? Again using the same function query. So same query, I am passing $SQL, and here to execute this query I need to use a connection object. Now I need to check whether this query is returning true or false. If it returns true, the query executed successfully. What is this query? Creating a table. So I am printing a message, table my guest created successfully. Otherwise, if any error is there in your query or connection, then you're printing a message, error creating table. So try to execute this. So table my guest created successfully. Now I will check the SQL. So now I am just going to mydb. See, my guest table has been created. So you can check the contents. So in MySQL, sorry, my guest. So what is the Right. So what are the fields of my guest? ID, first name, last name and email. But it is not containing any data. Just we have created a table, we didn't added any data. So now we will try to add the data also. So same thing again, these 4 details, using these 4 details, try to connect to the database and check the error connection, if any error connection is there or not. If there is no error connection, try to insert the data. So insert into the table name is my guest, values. So what are the values I need to add here? 4 different values. ID, first name, last name and the email ID. That's all. Again execute the query using the same method query, using the connection object and check whether it is true or false. If it is true, one row is inserted successfully. Otherwise, some error is there. Very simple. Simply you need to change the query. So one row inserted. So I just want to insert one more row. So I'm changing this value to 101, Sowmya 1, 1, 1. Then I'm saving. Again I'm refreshing. I'm getting one row inserted again. I want to insert one more row here, 102, Sowmya 2, 2. So now again one more row is created. So now the table is containing 3 rows. Now just check this. I'm just refreshing. See here this table is my guest is containing 3 different rows now. Now I can do any operations on this like update or delete. So first of all, deleting the data from your table. Again the same content you need to give to connect to the database. Check the error connection. If there is no error, try to delete a particular field or particular row from your table. How to delete? Delete from table name where ID is equal to 100. So with the ID is equal to 100, one row is there, right? That particular row will be deleted. So I need to execute this query using the query method and using connection object. If it is returning true, then the row will be deleted successfully. Otherwise, some error is there in your query. So I'm just executing this. So one row deleted. Now we will check the table. See, the table is containing only 2 rows of data now. So 100 with 100 ID, the row is deleted. So now I want to update. Again the same thing. Connect to the database. Check the error connection. If there is no error, then try to execute your query. What is your query? Update. Table name, set, email is equal to soumyagonuru@gmail.com where ID is equal to 100. But with 100, just now we have deleted, we will try to change that. So if ID is equal to 101, so I just want to change the mail ID to soumyagonuru@gmail.com. Wherever the ID is 101, at that place, whatever the previous email ID is, the current email ID will be updated to soumyagonuru@gmail.com. So that's all. Execute your query using query function. If query is executed successfully, it will return true. Then you are printing a message row updated. Otherwise, an error is created. So I'm just changing this ID value to 101. So error in updating table the table name is my guest. So row updated. Now we will go and check. See here at 101, the email ID is soumya1@gmail.com. Now if I refresh this, see at 101, now the email ID is soumyagonuru@gmail.com. So the row has been updated successfully. So till now we discussed different operations like create, insert, delete and update. So for all these queries, we have used only one function called query to execute these queries, and this query function is returning a boolean value. So why it is returning boolean value? In the sense, even in database, for all these operations, we don't get any particular output. If I try to create a table, I'll get the message created table. Inserting, inserted successfully, deleted successfully, updated successfully, but I don't get any proper output as the output. So that's why while executing these queries, the query function is returning a boolean value, either true or false, whether you have executed the query successfully or not. If it is successful, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. But we have one more operation, select. If I use select operation or select query, it will return a table of data. So select the star from my guest, select ID, first name, last name, email from my guest will return a table of data. So that table of data cannot, here also I can use the same function query, but that query will not return the boolean value. It will return a table of data instead, right? So that we are going to discuss now, the different program. All these programs are common, just only the query is different. But now we are going to discuss about the select operation, which is little bit different. So displaying data from the table. So here also same thing. First you need to connect to the database and you need to check with the error. If there is no error, try to write the query. What is your query? Select all the fields. What are the fields from my guest? ID, first name, last name, email from my guest. I want to display all the data. So this query I am storing in a variable called $SQL. So now again I am executing the query using the function called query only. For this query I am giving this string value, that is query value $SQL. So now whenever you are executing this will return a table of data that I am storing in a variable called $result. So previously it is not returning a proper output, that's why it is returning only a boolean value. But in this case it will return a table of data that I am storing in a variable called $result. Actually $result is not a variable, it's an object. So now I am checking whether this table is containing any data or whether it is an empty table. So how I am checking that? $result containing a table of data. Then I am checking num underscore rows. So num underscore rows will return the number of rows available in that table. If it is greater than 0, then only enter into this if condition. Otherwise, we don't have any data in the table, that is empty table, right? So if it is containing at least one row, then enter into that. Then I am just printing the data in the form of table. So to print the data in the form of table, I am using table tags here. Echo, start the table tag, start the first row. In the first row, you just print the headings, table headings. What are the table headings we have? ID, first name, last name, email. So I am just starting the table row. The first heading, TH, is ID. Close the TH. Second heading, TH, is name. Close the TH. Third heading, TH, is email. Close the TH. Sorry, we need to add the first name, last name and email here. Right. So next the last heading is email and close the table row. So we will modify that code. So after printing that, now print the table row by row data. So now here, so $row is equal to, at a time I cannot print the complete table of data. So what I am doing here, I am just fetching row by row. So to fetch or to extract a single row, we are using a function called fetch underscore associate. So fetch underscore associate will extract one single row from the table. So now the first row will be, a particular row will be extracted from the result and it will be stored in a variable called $row. So now $row will contain a row of data. ID, first name, last name, email. And the corresponding value also, only one single row. So now what is $row? So $row is an associative array. So in this associative array, all these are keys and whatever the values are there, they will work as a values. So now I need to retrieve these values using these keys. So in the second row, the first row is over. The first row I have created the headings. In the second row, table row, I have started the table data item. What is the first data item? The array name is $row and the key name is ID. Key name is ID. The first value will be printed. Next, close the data item. I just want to add one more data item, TD. Array name is $row. The key name is fname. Close the data. Again start a new data item. Array name is $row and the field name is last name. So like that, add all the rows here, right? So otherwise, if it is not containing any rows, you're going to print the message 0 results. If the table is empty, you're going to print this message 0 result, right? So now, how many rows are there in your table? Those many times this loop will be repeated. So you're writing a while loop here. So how many times you're writing that? Those many times this loop will be repeated. And after completing all the rows, it comes out of the loop. So try to execute this. So here I need to change something. So this is first name, after that close TH, and here last name, close the TH, open one more TH, email. So you're getting 2 rows of data. Currently the table is containing only 2 rows of data. So ID, first name, last name and email as table headings, and the first row data and the second row data you are getting. So that is the difference between the remaining 4 operations and this selection operation. The selection operation will return a table of data. So whereas the remaining 4 operations will return only true or false. If the query is successfully executed, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So that's about this video. In this video, we have seen different programs to connect to the server, to create a database, to create a table, to insert the data into that table, to delete the data from that table, to update the data in the table, and to display the data from the table. We have also seen some applications also, example applications. Thank you.